This meeting is being recorded.
Spoiler alert, I'm going to get political tonight. I don't believe in doing it because I respect everybody on their view, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, Black Party, Blue Party, whatever you are. You're all right. But as we were discussing today, New York City seems to be having an issue. And there was a letter that went out, signed by 350 rabbis, that basically, I'm not sure of the exact wording because I never saw the letter or I would have signed it, taking to task Zohran Mamdani for not taking back the idea that he believed in globalizing the Intifada. Now, instead of walking it back and saying, yeah, made a mistake or probably not the best idea, he started talking about the word Intifada, saying how in Arabic it can mean shake or something else. Okay, so if I use the word, I'm going to say it, faggot, and I used it in England, you're going to think you want a cigarette or a bunch of sticks, because that's what the word refers to in England. In this country, it has a much different connotation, and I wouldn't use it. I'm just saying it as an example. Okay, so words have power. Words have meaning. Words convey ideas. Half of New York is supporting him in the polls. And a lot of those people are Jewish because New York City is the second most Jewish populated place next to Israel. Israel has the most Jews, New York City has the second most Jews in the world. And yet here he is, the front runner. Now, I'm not going to get into his other ideas because that doesn't really matter. That's beyond the scope of what we're talking about. The fact is, this is a person who is normalizing anti-Semitism, any way you look at it. Bottom line. And yet, nobody is taking him to task. Not his own party. Of course, the other party is just going nuts with this, right? A couple of years ago, there was a show on the CW network called The Flash, about a superhero that could run faster than the speed of sound, faster almost than the speed of light. And it was a bunch of other superheroes with superpowers. One of those people was the elongated man. He could take his arm and just kind of stretch it out and, reach around the room and grab something and pull it back. And he was played by an actor named Hartley Sawyer. So he joined the cast in about 2016, give or take. And he was called after about 3 seasons into the office of the producers. And they told him, we discovered some not so nice remarks that you made on Twitter about 4 or 5 years ago that you tried to remove. Now, Twitter is not, or X, whichever you prefer, was a little different back then. It was kind of a free-for-all type of a thing, the way kind of like TikTok is today, but without the videos. And people were saying stupid stuff. So Hartley was starting to get famous. And, his ego swelled, said a couple of dumb things that he thought was funny. And then once he started getting popular, he tried to remove it, take it away. Somebody went in, did a search, bam, found it. Okay? Now, I know somebody that knew Hartley. Knew him when he was a fellow trainer in an upscale gym in Los Angeles. Said he was the nicest guy. Clients loved him. Loved working with him. Nice guy. Guy made a mistake. He said something stupid. Hartley Sawyer today has no more career. He was bounced from the show, and he has not been on anything since then. I'm seeing a double standard. If you're going to hold people responsible for what they said in the past, then do it. Which, by the way, I don't agree with. People change. We Jews know that. That's why we have Yom Kippur every year. That's why every day in our prayers we say, Salach lanu ki chatanu machava lanu ki b'shanu. Forgive me, God, because I said something and did something stupid. But the world is very forgiving very unforgiving for Hartley, yet Zoran gets a pass, and I'd like to know why. Is it because we're talking about Jews? And it's the same old story. I don't see anybody dancing in the street that there's a ceasefire in the Middle East. Isn't that what we wanted? Isn't anybody saying, wow, good for Israel for coming to the table? If you're anti-Jewish and you think Israel committed genocide, guess what? They're not doing it anymore. Where's the change of attitude? Where's the celebration? I don't see it. And we talked about this last week. I know I'm getting into it again, but it just absolutely just throws me. What are you going to do, right? But the point is, here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that the world is normalizing anti-Semitism. Big issue, gun control. You know what the problem with gun control is? In my opinion, okay? It's part of the culture. It's not about whether you own a gun or whether you don't own a gun. It's about how the world sees it. And if people just said, let's be responsible, that would probably disappear. I'm thinking, all right, I'm getting a little bit more political, but I'm saying it's all in people's attitudes. And you have to change the attitude. We have to change the attitude of people that get on TikTok and say, globalize the intifada. Israel's committing genocide. Let's arrest, and this guy has said he wants to arrest Bibi Netanyahu if he steps forth in New York, which would prevent him from going to the UN, because isn't that what the United Nations is all about, bringing people together? And this guy's going to be arrested by a mayor of a city? So what brought this to my attention today is an article I read in the Jewish Telegraphic Agency. It's sort of a news wire. I get their email every day. They do news stories of particular importance to somebody who's Jewish Telegraphic Agency. And they said, and it was written by a rabbi who called out the fact that 350 rabbis outside of New York signed the letter. And some rabbis were being held accountable by their congregation. Did they sign it? Did they not sign it? Again, I didn't know it was there. But people are having an issue with it. If you're Jewish, at the end of Yom Kippur, don't we say next year in Jerusalem? If you don't believe in Israel, then that's a blasphemous statement. We talk about Zionism. We talk about, what is Zionism really? It's a made-up word, Mount Zion. That's what it is. It's the idea that Theodor Herzl came out with and said, let's return to our ancestral land because no other country in the world wants us. Except maybe the United States is one of the best countries there are right now for us, right? Hopefully that doesn't change. And right now, there's an influence that's saying it's not going to be too friendly for us. And we have to be careful about that. And we have to call out when we need to, or else it's going to overrun us. I told you last week, I haven't followed up, I haven't heard anything more, but Claremont College, you all hear when I talked about that? They had a former hostage talk, and during the talk, it was interrupted by 4 masked people going on against Israel, a hostage, held against his will, tortured, and you've got these masked kids going in and disrupting the meeting. That's horrible. And you got to ask why. What is your purpose behind castigating Israel? What is it? I want to know. They were attacked. People were slaughtered. Unarmed people were slaughtered in a surprise attack. Why don't you see that? Because they don't want to. That's it. So, what's the answer? The answer is you got to call it out when you see it. We have to send letters to congressmen and women. We can't allow people to normalize Jew hatred. Because it's like they said, we're the first. Hitler started with the Jews. Then it was the gypsies. Then it was homosexuals. Then it was people with what's the term these days? I used to say developmental disabilities. What's the term? You know what I'm talking about, okay? And then it was everybody else in any country that didn't kowtow to the Germans. We may be the first, but we will not be the last. So we need to stand up. Now, all of you are standing up for Judaism by being here, whether you're here or you're on Zoom. And I think part of the reason why our congregation hasn't grown the way I think it should, because after all, who wouldn't want to be here with me, right? There goes my New Year's resolution to be humble, right? Seriously. We've had inquiries, we've had people come here, we've had people visit. And yet synagogue attendance is down, and one of the reasons is because people are scared. We have a police car sitting out front. We have bulletproof doors that can stop a 9mm slug. We have doors that will lead us right out to freedom if we need to. Somebody comes in. We have emergency buzzers all over the place. Police will be here in 5 minutes. That's what we're living on. And yet we go on. Just like our ancestors did in Eastern Europe when they were in an unfriendly country and they were pogroms. When the government would send soldiers in to loot and destroy. And yet here we still are. Because we're resilient. We will get through this. We will. And remember, even though evil seems to flourish, their doom is sure to come, because Hashem's is the ultimate triumph. Hashem is watching. And this week's portion, Noah, tells us that God is watching. And when God doesn't like something, God acts. So let's be hopeful. Let's see that here we still are and here we're going to be. Let's look at the positives. And we know that these people, their evil will consume them. And our good, and everybody else's good that believes in justice and righteousness are going to achieve. It may take a little while, but it will happen. It will.